Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Behind the Lens from Inside Out Games. Behind the Lens is a 2 to 4 player game of taking beautiful photographs by making sure to align your settings so that they are actually beautiful photographs. Before we continue, this is a prototype, all rules and components subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. In Behind the Lens, you'll be playing the game out across 3 months. Each month is going to have the 4 weeks as you draft various cards, and in each week you're going to be trying to take photos, multiple photos if you can. It's hard, but there are bonus points for doing so. Before we get to the exact cycle, the general idea is that you're trying to get these photos over here, and you're trying to do so by aligning the exact settings and the particular person or thing or whatever, the subject of the photo. So for example, this photo over here, this is one of the starting photos, this is the starting grid. This photo wants me taking a photo of a person, but my settings aren't quite aligned. I do have this one over here, the zoom in properly there, but I don't have this blue in the bottom row. I don't have that in the top row. How do I actually make sure to align this photo so I can get the results that I need? Because I need to align all of these. Everything else on the card is relevant to various goals and other things, but the main thing you're looking at is I need to align all of these in any one of these columns. Now the good news is there's a lot of ways to manipulate the columns. You can spend your battery every single turn. You can spend the actions on cards. There's these tiles over as well that allow you to have another variety of different effects you can utilize. There are a bunch of ways to basically align things to get those, but that's the main thing you're doing. With that said, let's now go through the round cycle. On your turn, you're going to have these action cards. You're going to start the week with a bunch of action cards. You're going to be drafting one each week. Every player drafts one, and the photo that they draft is going to define a few different things. The first thing it defines is which tile they take from the public display. I'm taking this one, for example. This tile is actually not necessarily the one. You know what? Actually, let me actually try to do this. Let me look through my hand over here, looking to see if I have a setting card I can benefit from. Great. I'll take this one. This is probably a better one, although if I have a blue, I have a blue. Perfect. Okay, I'll take this one because this will actually help me out. So I'm going to take this tile from the display over here. That is now in my hand until the end of the round. I'm also going to bump my battery up by 2. Battery can be spent to manipulate your grid. I'll show you how. That's going to be the drafting phase. So the drafting phase, you take the card, and then you can start taking actions. You can spend battery to push things around the grid. So for example, if I wanted this over here, I can spend a battery to push my tile that I have in my hand onto the grid. So for example, if I spend this battery right now, I can push this onto the row over here. We are already significantly closer, but we are even closer than you think because I just pushed this. This is now the tile in my hand, which means now I can go ahead and spend a battery again and push this over there, and I've already aligned the settings that I need through those 2 batteries that I gained this turn. Now I have a bunch of other tips and tricks at my disposal to get that perfect shot, but right now, just with those 2 batteries alone, I already got what I need, and I lined this photo up over here. Now can I line up this one? Oh my gosh, I actually can do a double. Let's go ahead and show you this. This actually worked out really well for me. Let's go ahead and show you how this plays out, because there are a few other tricks you can do. You can spend these tokens over here, you can spend them to do a variety of different effects. So for example, maybe I'll go ahead, I'm actually going to be a little crazy right now. I'm going to flip this. No, I can't do this from here. I need to spend them from over here. So, never mind. We won't do it yet. What I'm going to do is these tokens over here, as you play the game, they're going to move over here and you can spend them for things. I'll show you that shortly. But for right now, on the grid, they can be used as wild. So I can use this as a wild and I can use that as a wild in order to accomplish this photo over here, which is going to give me bonus points for having done multiple photos in one round. It is using 2 wilds in a single photo, which I don't love, but it might be worth the bonus points. Before I do that though, you move up to 3 setting tiles in a single column from your camera, then place them back in those empty spots in different positions. Ooh, this is interesting. So this one over here, you can use the abilities on the cards as well. The top part happens right away. You take a tile from the display and you get your battery. The bottom part, you can save these cards to use when you want. So I can save this for a future turn, and I'm kind of inclined to do so. So right now what I'll do is I am going to use these as wilds, which takes us to the update journal phase, where before we get to the actual photo, this token over here is going to go into my journal, and I'm going to get 1 point over there. So I'm going to move up 1 point in the track because I've moved one of those into the journal. If you place other tiles into your journal, let's say for example this, then it would go over here. Now for the sake of showing you how this plays, I am going to pretend that I have a tile in my journal so you can have a sense of how these score. But basically, the tiles that go into your journal will either be one of these 5 attributes, in which case they effectively increase your scoring, or it'll be the autofocus over here, and that will give you abilities you can use from your journal, which I'll show you soon. But then right now we're going to go ahead and take photos. I've taken this photo successfully. I've aligned all these, so I'm going to look at the attributes and I'm going to say, look, This attribute over here is worth 1 point because I haven't added things to its column. This one is worth 1 point because I haven't added things to its column. And this one is worth 2 points because I've added one to its column. This is a higher scoring attribute. You are trying to level up your attributes as you go. All in all, that's going to be a total of 4 points plus the 1 point from the bottom. That's a total of 5 points. I will get 5 points for that photo, going from 1 to 6. Additionally, this one is also going to score. I'm going to have the 2 wilds, and then this attribute, which is only 1 point, and then the bottom over here, which is 2 points over there, that's going to be a total of 3, because wilds will not score for that grid. So we move up from 6 to 9, that's going to give me a bunch of points there, but I do have to flip these over. These are spent now. They can no longer function as wilds, unfortunately, and now they're kind of just clogging up my grid, unless I find a way to unflip them, which like cards and abilities and things like that. That's basically how you take the photos. But I did take 2 photos in a single round, and that's going to give me an additional 3 bonus points over here from 9 to 12. For each additional photo, you get an additional 3 points, rewarding you for being multifaceted in how you can line up all your settings at once and do everything you need. That's the basic arc of a round. A single round is going to be drawing a card, taking the attributes on top of the card, then trying to use a variety of effects to align your grid. The most common one is going to be spending battery to cycle the tokens you have in and change the token you have in your hand. You also can spend tokens from over here. So for example, I could have spent this to do one of these 3 things. This is cycle a row, so I could just cycle a row without putting something new into it. This one over here is upgrading VPs, so you could take one of these over here, you can upgrade them, and now that column is scoring more points every time I score it. Or you can draw extra cards from your grid. You will draw back up to 2 regardless, but you can draw extra cards to be able to have more flexibility and also checking the attributes on the cards and drawing the right card for the right situation. That's going to be spending these over here. That is basically how you're going to be going through a round. 4 of those rounds is going to be a week, and 3 of those weeks, or 3 of those cycles is going to be the full game. I said that poorly. 4 of those, each draft is a week. There's 4 weeks to a month, and then there's 3 months to a year. That's not true either. There's 3 months to a game. Basically, there's 12 turns. There's 12 turns broken up into 3 rounds. In each arc, each month, you're going to redraw your action cards. That's the main change that's going to be happening. Other things to note as far as the game, as you fill up this grid, you can also earn battery from these over here. You will have your own goal cards you're going for. These will give you points for certain things, but there are also public goals, and then there are many cards that will give you more goals, so you don't just have this one goal, you can get more goals as well. And then there's going to be the first come first serve rewards over here. These are going to give you specific cards that as you achieve those, having 2+ TV photos in your portfolio, those are going to be the various attributes. That's a TV photo over there. The first person to get that is going to put their marker on 12, and the second person the 9, and the third person and 5. That is basically the arc of how you play behind the lens. You're trying to line up the perfect shot using all the tools and tricks at your disposal to do so across those 3 rounds of play. Which brings me to my review of what I like, don't like, can see others not liking, all of that. Starting off with what I like. In general, this is action manipulation. This is drafting. First of all, this drafting. I like drafting. I will say my favorite kind of drafting is when I have that angst over, oh my gosh, I want everything and I don't want to pass you anything. This doesn't have that kind of drafting. The cards matter. The choices do matter, especially for vying for goals. Sometimes there's cards in your hand, you're like, that will really help me for getting certain goals. That's important, especially on a first come, first serve basis, which those goals are. But overall, I would say the drafting is enjoyable without being, oh my gosh, amazing. But I do like drafting. But then there's tile manipulation. There's a lot of trying to figure out how do you align your grid. There's a lot of like, okay, well, I can do this, I can swap that, I can move those tiles using the actions on your cards. There's a whole deck of cards over here, all of these giving you a variety of different actions you're going for. And between the actions and tools at your disposal and the goals you're working for and the photos, there is a lot to juggle as far as trying to min-max your way into those perfect photos. You have to get everything lined up, and then you even have to choose things like even that choice right now. Do I want to get a double score right now this early in the game before I've even upgraded these tiles? Maybe it's better to save these wilds for when I've upgraded the scoring column. This over here, this can bump to a 5 because basically the middle columns are the harder to manipulate as far as getting things lined up, so you get more points for those. Bumping that to a 5 before trying to get a bunch of scoring things, there's a lot of consideration over how you actually try to achieve those photos at what point. Even your grid over here, again, same thing. Those wilds over here, they can help you early on, sure, but if you line up a bunch of different tokens over here, look at this. Suddenly you get a photo that needs 2 ISO and you're scoring 4 points per ISO. Get that to max, you're scoring 8 points per ISO in your photo. So you really want to lean into certain attributes, and that strategy as far as leaning into, like, I'm really good at zooming in, I guess. I'm really good at zooming in on those shots, and so I get a lot of points when I get those shots that have zoom in. There is fun to that as far as trying to just decide how to balance it all, how to balance the right away goals, how to balance the goals, how to balance the action cards you take, how useful it is to draw more of these, because sometimes these are kind of not really competing, but for the focus aspect. So for example, many of these might have things that reward you for taking photos of certain subjects. Well, deck too many of those and you can't specialize. So there's a trade-off as far as getting too many goal cards and splitting your focus and your ability to achieve them. Overall, there's a lot of board manipulation. There's a lot of board manipulation, there's a lot of decision space as far as how to balance it all, and the drafting as well. All of it comes together to give you a lot of things to think about as you're trying to line things up, and those fun moments when you get a really good shot or a really good turn, or end a turn with like 4 battery left because you were able to get what you need without lining yourself up for a great next turn. As far as things I don't like in the game, it's the showing you got here actually worked out really nicely. Like lining up a double shot, that doesn't happen to me a lot in this game. I find double shots in particular, the way these cards are very hard to get. In fact, in general, manipulation towards maximizing those things, there's a lot of decision space and trade-offs in what you do and when you do them. Like I really like powering up my sideboard to get a lot of points for a single shot. That is to me my favorite part. Going for double shots is something that I actually have not, I try to not focus on that too much, because without the wilds, and the wilds can disappear pretty early, without the wilds it is very hard to get those double shot turns. But you kind of have the sense that you're supposed to try to, and so I keep wanting to do so, but it is challenging to actually get them. There's a decent amount of luck in the photo cards you draw, like the cards you draw and how they'll fit into your grid. There's luck in that. There's also cards that have double icons, which again can be both challenging and rewarding. Overall, it can feel like a lot of work to actually pull off those shots, and a lot of manipulation to get there. So I have had a lot of turns where I felt really cool, and a lot of turns where I felt I gave up 2 action cards and spent 4 batteries, all to get not enough points for it. And then lastly, the goal cards. The goal cards, I love having a lot of goals. And Earth in general, Earth Express, Behind the Lens, they have a ton of different goals. I will say the feeling behind the goals, I don't really have a strong sense of, oh my gosh, these goals are so cool to achieve, because some of them are like, okay, great, you want to be specialized in, portraits. Amazing, that's cool. But others are going to be a lot of different things that are just subtle variations of have this specific attribute on your photos, and your photos like chock full of all these attributes, and it doesn't feel thematic so much as nitpicky, I guess. The goals are almost nitpicky. Get ISO 800, get the TV attribute, get 3 of these, get 4 of those. I like it when goals feel a bit more thematic, and because of the nature of, I guess maybe I'm not a big camera person, despite being on camera all the time. I'm not actually like a photographer who knows all the settings. Like I know what ISO is. I can't maximize or tweak the camera till tomorrow, and so all these things are mostly just terminologies to me, and I feel like it's like collect the various phrases of things on the cards that don't necessarily matter to me. As far as I can see others not liking, speaking of which, to a certain extent, similar idea, there is like information overload on the cards, both on the action cards. Like the action cards have this whole sideboard, which is like your camera. It's cute, it's fun, but it's a lot of extra things that aren't even relevant. That's kind of, it's overload, it's an overload of information that's not relevant to the actual gameplay. These cards have that information overload, but most of it's not relevant. It's just relevant to specific goals that will come up. So small little, like, I don't know, just text overload as far as the game goes. As far as final thoughts on Behind the Lens, overall I enjoy Behind the Lens. Behind the Lens has that manipulation and card drafting and action economy as far as trying to make it all work, that I do enjoy that puzzle. I think for me, the amount of work to get the reward for most of the time, again, there were definitely turns that I felt very cool. There were definitely turns where I did get 2, or there's one turn one time where I managed to get 3 photos. That was incredibly cool. But those have been more the exception to the standard course of play. The standard course of play is you draft a card, you take a bunch of actions, hopefully you get a shot lined up, and go on to the next round. For me, the bigger enjoyment of the game was maximizing some of these grids to be able to score 8 points for a specific attribute, and then trying to get that attribute as much as possible. Although again, unless you're doing those kind of empowered draw situations, it is mostly going to be luck of the draw as to which photos come up. Overall, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. A lot of things I liked, but also some things that felt a little more work than the reward. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Shallow Sea if you want to line up a lot of things in a very brain-burnery and satisfactory way, satisfying way. Satisfactory is a video game. And then also, if you're just here for the photos and the cool images and all that, check out Canvas for a game about lining up images in more of a drawing theme than a photo theme. But if you're here for the theme, that's a good one to check out as well. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.